Today's story is called Dad Ruins My Visit with My Mother and Grandmother from user Gara Kim. Thank you so much for letting us read your story. And if you're an author who would like me to read your stories next, please submit them to the r/Mr. Reddit subreddit. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Dad Ruins My Visit with My Mother and Grandmother. Hello again, Mr. Reddit and Re-Army. You read my story titled You Owe Us, and I figured I would give another story about the time when I tried to go and retrieve my things from my hometown. This is more of an insane parent's story rather than entitled. Sorry if it's long again. There's more dialogue than story. On PC again, so any mistakes are my fault. Our cast. We've got me. We've got my best friend. We've got awesome mom, awesome grandma, uncle, who's my dad's big brother, and my dad. Just a little backstory for those who don't know about the You Owe Us story and some time clarifications. My father and stepmom moved back to my hometown, which is more than 5 hours away, while I was in military training, and they took all of my things with them. I eventually got deployed and was able to save up for an apartment and car when I got back. I was gone for almost a year, so I really wanted to see my mother and grandmother, whom I hadn't seen in a while. Time clarification. Dad got custody in June 2012. Mom went to prison. I visited awesome grandma in 2014. I went to training late 2016. Saw my mom after 4 years that December. I got deployed in late 2017 to late 2018. At this point, it's been 4 years since I had seen my awesome grandma. From the ages of 91 to 95, my awesome grandma hadn't seen me, and vice versa. It was tough. In total, it's been almost 7 years since awesome mom, awesome grandma, and I saw one another at once. It had also been almost 3 years since Dad and I saw one another. On to the story. This was going to be my first time driving a long distance and for such a long time, so I wasn't 100% comfortable with going by myself. I asked my best friend, who is hands down the greatest person in the world, if she would join me, and she said that she would be more than happy to. Seriously, she would go anywhere with me. I once asked if she would come with me to a prison party, and she didn't even ask any questions. Anyway, we packed the car and drove the 5 hours to my hometown. The plan was to arrive Friday night and settle into our Airbnb. Saturday, I would introduce best friend to my awesome mom and awesome grandma, and then we would contact my dad to see if we could get the things he and my stepmom took. We arrived a bit late during the evening of Friday, so we saw my awesome mom and toured the town a bit before going to bed. The next morning, as I was getting ready, I got a call from my uncle, who was happy to know I was in town and wanted to see me. I was sure Dad told him I was there and agreed. I hadn't seen him in many years, and I love him a lot. When I got off the phone with him, I called my awesome mom to let her know best friend and I would go see awesome grandma in a bit. She informed me that she would go too, so that we could all see each other together. This was going to be the first time in about almost 7 years where me, my mother, and grandmother would be under the same roof together, and I was very excited. We agreed to get there around 10 a.m. or so, and I made sure that she didn't tell awesome grandma that I was in town. As soon as I got off the phone with her, lo and behold, Dad calls me. I answer. Hi, Dad.
What are you doing? Get up! Let's get this over with. Wake up!
Mind you, it was around 8:45 a.m. at this time, and I was already on to doing my hair. I put him on speaker and set my phone down so I could continue getting ready. What? What are you talking about?
Your stuff. Let's go. Get your stuff from the storage. I don't have all day.
Now, there's something I didn't mention in the previous story. I told you all that my dad was a huge gambler. What I didn't tell you was that he was also a mega alcoholic. Since I lived with him for almost 5 years, I knew when he had been drinking. Dad, have you been drinking?
What? No. What are you accusing me of drinking? I haven't had one drink today.
I sighed and rolled my eyes. Okay, well,
Are you getting your stuff or not? Because if you aren't, then I'm leaving it there. I don't have time for this.
my best friend and I planned on seeing Awesome Grandma first. I was going to call to get my things later today around 2 p.m.
Okay. Do you know where the U-Haul storage is?
No one ever told me. What's the address? Can you text it to me?
You don't know where it is? How could you not know where it is? You grew up in this town. You should know where everything is.
I was 13 when I moved away. Most 13-year-olds only know the places they frequent, and last time I checked, I never frequented a U-Haul storage building. At this point, I was really getting annoyed with him. Dad, how can I know a place that I've never been? The call disconnected. I looked down at my phone, seeing my home screen and wondering if the call failed due to a bad connection. I immediately called him back. He answered on the first ring. I placed him on speaker again.
Do you know where it is now?
I'm super confused. What? No, I've never.
Well, you better figure it out.
The call disconnected again, or rather, he hung up on me. I glared at my phone, trying to calm myself down as I called him back. He says happily,
Morning. Find it yet?
Dad, stop hanging up on. He hung up again. I wanted to punch the mirror, but only sighed and called him back.
I'm not going to talk until you tell me you found the address.
I'm angry. Dad, just. He hung up again. I growled in frustration and called my uncle. Morning, niece. What's up? I'm annoyed. Please get your baby brother before I chew him out. He's really starting to tick me off. My uncle sighed. Oh, man, what's he doing now? I explained how he kept hanging up on me and wouldn't tell me the address to the storage unit. I also told him that he may have been drinking and that he was just being difficult overall. Uncle told me that he was positive Dad had been, because he kind of dropped off the grid until the night I was to arrive. He told me that he would call Dad and try to get the address for me. Once I got off the phone with him, I called best friend to come into my room. She appeared with a smile that told me she already knew why I was angry. She told me she heard the entire conversation from her room and talked me down from my frustration until I felt a little better. She's like my portable anger management device. During this time, I finished my hair and we were gathering our things to head to Awesome Grandma's house before my phone rang. It was Dad. I answered. I really needed that address.
Why'd you call my brother?
Because you were being difficult. I don't have time to go back and forth with you. Just tell me the address.
You should know where it is. You grew up here.
There's 3 different ones in this place. I'm not about to play duck, duck, goose with you to figure out which.
Well, I guess you aren't getting your stuff today.
He hangs up. I turned to best friend with a look of shock and anger. She did her best to keep me calm and instead suggested we get to Awesome Grandma's a bit early. I sighed heavily and we got into the car to leave. Dad called again, but I didn't answer it this time. Right after, Uncle called. He told me that Dad had definitely been drinking and that he would try to talk some sense into him so that we could get the address. I thanked him and we were on our way. During the drive, Dad called again, and I answered, thinking that Uncle had spoken to him.
What floor does your awesome grandma stay on?
I'm hesitant. Why?
I was just asking. You seriously don't know where it is?
I slammed my hand on the steering wheel, and best friend facepalmed in the passenger seat. No, that's what I've been trying to say. Can you at least give me a street name?
Oh, okay. 1 second.
He hangs up. At this point, I was done and figured I wasn't getting my things. We arrived at Awesome Grandma's house, and she was very surprised to see me. She didn't know I was at her door, so she opened it with a Bible held up, as if to hit whoever it was. Awesome Grandma says, "The Lord would have handled the rest." Just wanted to throw that in there. We hugged, and I introduced her to my best friend. She invited us inside, and from there, we caught up and chatted about the times we missed apart. I told her about Dad and how ridiculous he was being, and she could only shake her head. After a few minutes of talking, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to my awesome mom and Dad. He was smaller than I last remembered, almost like he was sick, but he still had a stupid, smug look on his face when he saw me and my best friend. I hugged Awesome Mom and went to sit back down. Awesome Mom sat at the table, with Dad standing next to her. He hugged Awesome Grandma and immediately started talking to me.
Bet you're surprised to see me here, right? You should see your face right now.
I was frowning in pure annoyance and wasn't hiding it.
It's been a while, hasn't it, Awesome Mom, that we stood in the same room together?
Awesome Mom, who continued to smile and not be bothered by him, nodded her head. Mom says, "About 11 years.
Yeah, see? I don't hate your mom. I never hated your mom. I love her.
I reply, "No one asked that, Dad, and I honestly don't care." Awesome Grandma had gone silent at this point and turned to watch TV as Dad's voice filled the small room. I knew she wasn't watching it and was only trying to drown out Dad. She just turned 95 this year, and I knew she didn't like loud people. The look on her face said it all. Best friend had also sat silently as Dad continued to speak and say things no one asked about. Then there was another knock at the door. I frowned in confusion as Dad went to answer, and a loud greeting could be heard from the entrance. It was Uncle, who had come to collect my dad, but also came to greet me, Awesome Mom, and Awesome Grandma. Two brothers were now in the room, and they were loud. Awesome Mom, Awesome Grandma, best friend, and I never got to speak to one another as the two chatted and laughed, my uncle getting pulled into Dad's conversation. Awesome Grandma was definitely annoyed at this point, and I didn't want her to suffer through this any longer. I stood and told both Awesome Mom and Awesome Grandma that we would be leaving to go to the storage unit.
Oh, that's right. Just follow me and I'll take you there.
While Uncle, best friend, and I were saying goodbye to Awesome Mom and Awesome Grandma, Dad took off down the hall to the elevator. My first get-together with both my Awesome Mom and Awesome Grandma lasted less than 10 to 15 minutes. We finally left and got the elevator just in time to see Dad get into his truck. In my mind, I had a feeling about what he was about to do and hurried to my car. However, as soon as best friend and I were inside and hit the road, Dad was gone. I was mad. This next part happened very quickly. I tried to follow where he might have gone, but that didn't help at all. Uncle had left the same time as us, and he noticed that we were lost. My uncle, bless his heart, reversed off of the freeway and came back to find us while we were just planted in the middle of the road while cars blared their horns as they passed us. I was slightly panicked at this point, so I waited for him to pull up next to me. He rolled down his window, shaking his head in disbelief. Uncle says, "I'll take you there. I can't believe he left you." At this point, he had gotten the address and came to Awesome Grandma's house to get my dad and let us know where it was. He isn't very tech savvy when it comes to texting. We followed him and actually arrived before Dad, who had apparently taken a wrong turn on his way. Karma is a female dog. While we waited, Uncle chatted with us about Dad and how he had been drinking a lot lately. He explained that Dad was sick and the drinking was making it worse, which was why he looked so small. To be honest, I couldn't really care at that point. I had a headache and I was frustrated. Best friend knew this and could only comfort me while we all waited for Dad. He finally showed up, and while he was unlocking the storage, was talking loudly about nonsense I honestly can't remember anymore.
There you go. I'm not going in there, so you have to find your stuff yourself.
The storage held his, my stepmom, my stepsisters, and my belongings, so there were a lot of boxes. I knew which ones were mine and saw that they were buried at the bottom of everything. He stood back, a smug look still on his face, and I climbed inside, throwing all of his stuff and stepmom's stuff aside along the way. Uncle scolding Dad. "You're so wrong for that. Niece, come out. I'll look for you." I climbed out, and Uncle and I picked out which boxes were mine and which weren't. All the while, Dad was still talking nonsense that I was ignoring, so I don't remember anything he said. Best friend helped load the boxes onto a cart and into my car, while Dad was trying to give me things he considered mementos. I glared at him, got in my car, and we all left. I was frustrated the entire way home and talked to Awesome Mom about how he ruined everything. She knew I was angry since I didn't get to really speak with them and said that she didn't even recognize Dad when he called her name. Apparently, he was sitting on a couch in the lobby, I guess waiting for me, and instead, Awesome Mom walked inside and he tagged along with her. She even asked him if I knew he was there, and he told her I didn't. Awesome Mom says, "At that point, I kind of knew this wasn't gonna turn out great, but that's okay, sweet pea. We'll see each other next time." My frustration dropped out at that point. I was just sad. She calmed me down and agreed that we would see each other for my birthday. So yeah, no happy ending here, unfortunately. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Mr. Reddit, for reading. Any questions will be answered. Have a great day. And congrats to our Regenerals of the day, Zach, Timberwolf429, Rachel Edge, and Silent Paw. Become tomorrow's Regenerals by dropping as many Rees as you can in the comments below.